Hello, my name is Mark Isles and welcome to the next School for Prophecy video blog. Today's subject is the importance of testing prophecy, and I'm not trying to preach at you. I'm trying to present a balanced, experienced and biblical analysis based on over 25 years of moving in prophetic ministry. I've picked this subject because, as I continuously say, it's one of the three major areas of confusion or misunderstanding in the worldwide church these days. And as a result, it is a whole teaching session in our first course. So we cover it in a lot of detail. Put simply, it is a fundamental requirement of New Covenant prophecy, not Old Covenant prophecy, although there was testing, New Covenant prophecy to test prophecy. Let me take you just briefly to 1 Thessalonians 5:19 to 22. Do not quench the spirit. Do not treat prophecies with contempt, but test them all. Hold on to what is good. Reject every kind of evil. That verse tells us, on the one hand, not to ignore all prophecy, but on the other hand, not to accept all prophecy. We are to test them all, and it uses the word all. And we're told to hold on to what is good, which means there's a selection process. It's not necessarily all good or all bad. That we maybe have uncertain items, unclear items we're uncomfortable about, items that don't seem to fit, which we're holding in faith for later on. The essential flavor of prophecy is basically the fundamental test, and it's 1 Corinthians 14:3, that everyone who prophesies speaks to men for their strengthening, encouragement, and comfort. All prophecy should cover this, although you have to be aware of the fact that love sometimes has to speak some hard truths, which we need to hear, but we may not want to hear. So you go to the prophecies in Revelation, they were essential, they were out of love, really some tough talking. Many people might not say, well, that was strengthening, encouraging, comforting, but they were what the people needed to hear. In our course, we teach that there are three tests: a confirmation test, a compliance test, and a caution test. But the good news is that basically most of the time, you're only going to need a confirmation test for up to 90% of the prophecy you meet, unless you live on the internet. And if you live on the internet, you are going to need the other two tests to keep you safe. And it may not be easy on occasions. The confirmation test has got two elements. The first element is that we have an inner witness. We have the Holy Spirit living within us, and that provides a spiritual inner witness to us, which is independent of our minds and will guide us into what is right and what is wrong. And in John 16, verse 13, Jesus promises that when the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth. And we have this all phrase again. We test everything in 1 Thessalonians 5. John 16:13 says he will guide you into all truth. So it's recognizing that you have the Holy Spirit within you who will guide you and lead you. And we often get this sense of it feels right or it doesn't feel right, or we have this sense of peace. I would encourage you, it's not something to go on an instant test with. I tend to find the inner witness is better over a period of time, so that things actually settle and I become confident about them, or I become more and more uncomfortable and uncertain about them, and I take that as a not for the moment. The second part of the confirmation test is independent confirmation. And I have found 5 places, and I'm not saying they're the only 5, there may be more. I've only found 5 so far, where it says any matter should be established by the confirmation of 2 or 3 witnesses. And Matthew 18:16, where you go to your brother who's not listening to you, brother or sister who's not listening to you, and a matter should be established by 2 or 3 witnesses. The big one in the Old Testament is nobody should be judged or punished for a crime without the confirmation of 2 or 3 witnesses. And I guess the big one in the New Testament is we shouldn't consider an accusation against a leader without it being established by 2 or three witnesses. It isn't a specifically biblical principle, but it seems to me it's foundational and consistent throughout the Bible, and therefore, living within a biblical context, we can apply that to prophecy. So you're looking for independent confirmation. The inner witness is something that's very personal, may be considered to be subjective. The independent confirmation is something that's outside of you and objective. I'm sure all of us have had those situations where our daily Bible study readings or our daily Bible study use documents that have been prepared up to 6 months in advance, and yet they say exactly what we need to hear today and confirm what God is already speaking to us, maybe even a prophecy. I've had God coincidences with big advertising hoardings on occasions. You can get prophecies which can confirm other prophecies, which are independent and not connected. You can even be in a situation where you're already considering something and the prophecy comes along as confirmation. So it's not necessarily confirming a prophecy. The prophecy itself is the independent confirmation of what God is telling you. And I think 2 or 3 witnesses, it just depends on how serious the matter is. Is it whether or not you buy a book, whether or not you change jobs, whether or not you go to another country? You may need more confirmations, but it depends on the individual concerned. I'm not going to go through the compliance and caution tests because they are very specialized. The compliance test is looking for those things where there may be incorrect biblical treatment and theology within there. There may be people's own agendas and preferences. There may be prejudice in there that we need to weed out. And caution tests are very much against those words where control and manipulation are coming through prophecy, and we need to be protected from them. But they are the unusual cases. The majority of time, the 2 aspects of the confirmation test should get you to a place where you believe you know what God has said to you and you're confident in it. One of the important things about testing prophecy is it does ensure that you hear what was said, which might sound a crazy thing to say, but given that there are real needs and often crises in our lives, and we have our own agendas, the danger is we can manipulate or bend the word to fit anything that we need at that time. And as you test a word and you consider it over a period of time, you are ensuring that you hear what was said, and that prepares you for the faith you need to act on it in accordance with James. Delightfully, Hebrews 5:14 tells us that the mature have learned how to discern God's will, what is right and wrong in their lives through practice. They have discerned through practice, or perhaps in the vernacular, practice makes perfect. And you will find that testing might feel a challenge and a bit clunky to start with, but the more you do it, the more you'll become familiar with it, and the more easier it will become in your own life. And I think one of the things as I finish now that's really important about testing is it prevents the candy floss effect. And the candy floss effect is candy floss is really nice, really tasty, and everybody wants it, but it doesn't satisfy your hunger. There is no real food in there. And the only thing you can do is go back and get more candy floss because of your craving for something that's actually satisfying. And testing ensures that we learn how to grow with these words and mature in them. And testing will ensure, while it's a challenge for prophetic people to be tested, it will ensure that we grow in our gift and we mature in our gift, and people take our gifts seriously, which is good for everybody involved. So I've hoped you enjoyed this challenging video blog today. If you're interested in more, please subscribe to the school's video blog and feel free to email me. My details are on the site if you have a serious question, and I do stress serious question. And you will find on the school's YouTube channel that there are introductions to all 3 of our prophecy training courses, and there are also more details on the website. So that finishes this blog, and thank you very much.